I'm here over at the Gateway Apartments, which happens to be managed by one of my favorite developers in Orange County, which is the Irvine Company. Gateway Apartments is just like a lot of the other Irvine Company properties, and it's a lot like the Platinum Triangle type of properties, where it's a lot of studio, one bedroom, and two bedroom units. Now, what the approach that the Irvine Company has taken is similar to what Lennar and maybe what the future of home building showings are going to do. Is they're really cutting staff as far as their head count goes and salaries. So what they want to do is do self-guided tours. So we're actually going to use an app today, and I hope you enjoy the tour. Well, crap. That didn't go as planned. I'm back here in front of a green screen. This video is going to turn into really what do I think about the new way that some companies like Irvine Company and Lennar are showing their models now. So back in the day, I remember when I even lived in an apartment, you would go into a sales office, sometimes even without an appointment. You'd have sometimes more than one person working there, and then they would tell you about what their rates are, what their availability is, and of course that assumes there's availability because of there's of course apartments in LA where there's no vacancy at all. There's no sales office. But when there is vacancy, then they would have a sales office, and then you would see floor plans, and sometimes you would see a nice brochure, and then they would drive you in a golf cart and take you to the available apartments. So some of them would have nice model homes and with furniture in it, so you could kind of get the idea of what you're going to be living in, sort of like model homes that are for sale. But then at least you'd take out all the complexity out of the showing. You only know what's available, what's your move-in date, and then how much you're going to pay. Now, with this app, I remember I had to go on the Irvine Company website, and then I did a self-guided tour, and then I downloaded the app. It took me just a minute to download the app. And then a big mistake on my part, because I decided to do a video tour here. I didn't charge my phone all the way. I thought, I had 20%, and on an iPhone that should be plenty. So it was at 20%. I arrived there before my client, just like on most appointments, because the last thing you want to do is show up to a big, gigantic condo building, or in this case, an apartment building, and not know where you're going. So then I get there in advance, get the app ready to go. It looks pretty straightforward. It tells you where the entrance is and all that. But then she was arriving, about 5 minutes late. And by that time, I look at my battery, and I'm down now to 15%. I was like, wow, this app is really draining my battery. I wasn't getting much reception there, too, to make it worse. You have to walk all the way around. The app did open up the gate, but I can imagine the client that I was taking around, she had failed using the app, and then she told me that her battery ran out as well. And then when she was on low power mode, she wasn't the most tech savvy. She could barely see her screen. So she never got to view one of the apartments. I went in, and we just spent majority of the time being lost. I'm looking at the app. I keep glancing at my battery. We get lost because of that little dot that is supposed to show you where you are in the complex wasn't updating. So we ended up just walking around the complex. And the whole tour took about an hour for us to see 2 units. The units aren't anything to write home about. One was very basic, but then the price seems pretty appealing, $2,800 a month, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. The other one was over $3,000. Had a little more upgrades, but then I'm going to show it on my screen. But then it was over $3,100 at that point. So after doing that tour, I'm just wondering how this is going to work out. I know that salaries are expensive for companies, especially these big corporate companies. But then how much are they losing in terms of tenants calling? Because I also made appointments or inquiries to 2 other buildings in the area for this client. And then neither of them called me back. I also filled out the forms online. Still haven't got a call back. That was 2 days ago. So let me know down below in the comments what you think, if you've done the self-tour with Irvine Company or Lennar. Seems pretty straightforward, even though I had some frustration with that, but I still got in their properties. But then it seems like it might be something here to stay, just like the kiosks over at McDonald's. Lennar's not doing model homes anymore. I sold a place in Lexington over in Central Park west of Irvine. No model homes. So you had to go in there and you just look at virtual tours online, and then you could go look at the construction site. But again, it's not the same as before. You let me know if you think this is the future of home building. Studies have shown time and time again that looking at model homes, looking at stage homes on resale property, they sell for more and they sell quicker. So then maybe the corporate heads figured, yeah, we know that it costs more, but then is it worth it keeping all this additional headcount? Again, I'm Edwin Vallow at midriseliving.com. I want to know your thoughts about this new app and self-guided tour thing, and let me know in the comments.